from That Feeling Podcast. This is the Wrestling with My Thoughts podcast, hosted by Blak Makk. Tonight, we go over the Survivor Series preview, what happened since the last podcast, because it's been a minute. We just play catch up, and we go over a new show. This is the Wrestling with My Thoughts podcast. And now, your host, Blak Makk. Welcome back, everybody. This is your boy, Bred Like a King, made as Kelvin Cayley. And yes, we are back. This is Wrestling with My Thoughts, the podcast brought to you by the good folks over at That Feeling. Welcome back to another show. It's been a minute since I've talked wrestling, so I'm just going to get right to it. So much has happened in the time since my last podcast. Major things have happened. We'd had the AEW first pay-per-view, Full Gear, which went off. It had some mixed reviews about it. For the majority, the AEW fans liked it. The non-AEW fans didn't like it. Mostly WWE fans are non-AEW fans. So the competition there is getting kind of stiff. It's kind of dividing the crowds up a little bit. But there is some loyalty to AEW. And the fans listen. The fans are pretty loyal to AEW. They will not go anywhere. Which is good for AEW because you do have a fan base that you can cater to. I don't even know if it's really the hardcore fan at this point. It's just people that are so tired of the WWE product that they went to AEW. That's their brand. That's what they're gonna stick to. So those people are the ones that like Full Gear. Now, there has been a lot of criticism on one match in particular, the Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega match. There was some criticism about that match heavily, but overall the pay-per-view didn't do that bad. And the fan base is still there. The numbers are still solid for AEW Dynamite. So what they're doing right now seems to be working. And it's awesome to see that competition. It's making WWE put their best foot forward. That pay-per-view in itself produced some great WWE TV, as you see with the NXT angles. NXT is now showing up on SmackDown and Raw. In the Invasion angle, they're setting up Survivor Series. There's a whole bunch of good matches going on for Survivor Series this coming Sunday. And, you know, you're starting to see that competition force WWE's hand. So you're getting the Finn Balor's that are showing up in NXT. You're also getting the AJ Styles, who's, in my opinion, probably the best wrestler out today, and his stable, the Club, showing up on NXT, putting on great matches. You have the Undisputed Era that are putting out great matches, and right now, in my opinion, Undisputed Era is on their way to being something special. Adam Cole is probably one of, if not the top star coming out of NXT right now. So a lot of good stuff coming from WWE. The product is really getting better. It really is. Despite what people may or may not think, the product really is getting better. The numbers aren't there, and that's the problem for WWE right now. The numbers just aren't there for them. So, you know, you'll get there. They'll get there, and over time, you'll start to see this rivalry heating up, and AEW's already revamping. Some big news from AEW's end. Cody Rhodes has now he has the rights to a pay-per-view that the WWE previously had called Bash at the Beach, and I think he did market that that there is going to be a AEW Dynamite that will be officially known as Bash at the Beach, and I think that one's going to be in Tampa. The date I'm not really sure on, but that is confirmed. He does have the rights to Bash at the Beach, so AEW will be producing that. Some huge news in not only the WWE and the wrestling world. If you haven't been paying attention, CM Punk, his face is on WWE television. Now, he did have a show. He debuted on a show called WWE Backstage and shook up the wrestling world last week, or when he debuted, he shook up the wrestling world, so to speak, and announced that he would be a part of the show. Well, his second appearance, he laid out pretty much the real deal, because he's known for really being honest, which is why fans love him. He laid down what is going on in his situation and what his process is. So as of now, he is not signed to the WWE. He is signed to Fox, which him being signed to Fox and being on WWE TV, I don't know what the long-term plan for that is. Eventually, he did say that you never say never to a return to the ring. But I can imagine that being around WWE and being attached to WWE, even though not directly because he's not signed with them, eventually there's going to be some type of influence to get him back in the WWE ring. And I wholly expect CM Punk to be back in the ring. I said this a couple podcasts ago. There's no way that he wouldn't be around wrestling and not get in a wrestling ring. So I really do expect CM Punk to be in a wrestling ring within a couple of years, because he is getting up there in age. But I do expect him to be in a wrestling ring very, very soon. And that was probably the hugest thing to come out of that. There was a little bit of a Twitter spat with CM Punk and Tony Khan, who is the owner of AEW, and it made for some pretty hilarious content. He and Tony Khan were throwing shots back and forth. Randy Orton jumped in, and Tony Khan just buried both of them. So Tony Khan is really becoming one of my favorite owners right now. He's so vocal. Which he should be, because he's in his 30s and social media is his thing. It's not Vince's thing. Vince is up there in age. He's done it all. But it's good to see that he's active on social media and he interacts with fans. I think that part in itself is playing a big role for AEW, because the upper echelon, so to speak, they are engaging with the fans, and that's what you want to see. That's really what you want to see. If Vince did that, it probably would be awkward, because he is Vince McMahon. He owns the WWE. WWE is the giant. Not like a Triple H would if he were in that position. Triple H would be awesome. Vince is kind of awkward, So moving on, Survivor Series is this Sunday. They do have a plethora of good matches. One match in particular that I'm not really looking forward to, but I want to see what happens, is Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar. Now, they had this whole feud going on with Brock Lesnar attacking Rey Mysterio and Cain Velasquez debuting and then going to Crown Jewel and completely stinking up the joint. well, they didn't stink up the joint. It was a great 2-minute match, which, in my opinion, I hated that match. I really, really hated that match. I hated it for all the wrong reasons, probably, because it was it looked like a legit match. It looked like a legit fight. Because if you looked at Cain Velasquez's movements, he moved like he was in the octagon. So did Brock Lesnar. It was like they were fighting in an octagon, but they were in a wrestling ring. Wasn't too many wrestling holds. It was more like a fight than it was an actual wrestling match. But 2 minutes in, Brock Lesnar slaps the Kimura on Cain Velasquez. Cain taps. 2 minutes. And the fan I am of Kofi Kingston, all I could say in that moment is that's why, this is why you got the belt off of Kofi Kingston. That's what you set it up for? Now, mind you, WWE is not stupid. They're not. There has to be something more to that. But the fan in me was like, why would you do Kofi Kingston that way? And this is the outcome. Like, you could have slapped Kofi in this match and did that. Kofi got 10 seconds. Well, not even 10 seconds. It was 3 seconds. He ran, got F5'd, belt gone. They at least let Cain get off a couple shots. You couldn't do that for Kofi? No? Well, all right. in the words of MRK, all right. Well, all right. I guess that's what we're doing. But I guess with Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, you're gonna have probably a Cain Velasquez sighting. It's just me guessing. You're gonna see Cain Velasquez at Survivor Series. The women, I think, may steal the show. And one of the women in particular is Shayna Baszler. And if you guys look, and this is just a prediction, if you look at what's been going on WWE television, I'm pretty much thinking that Ronda Rousey is going to come back to WWE at Survivor Series. And I think that she's going to come back as a heel. And I think that they will start setting up this 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen angle. Because if you look at Raw, was it Raw? I think it was Raw. If you the past Raw, Shayna Baszler and the other 2 girls, I can't remember their names, but they were 3 of the 4 MMA 4 horsewomen. And they came out and they attacked Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And they got the better of them. Now, who you haven't seen team up is the original WWE 4 horsewomen. And that's Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch, right? 4 of the biggest women draws in WWE. You haven't seen them team up, like all 4 of them. Two have teamed up occasionally. So you have Sasha, who's in Bayley's corner, and then you have Charlotte, who recently teamed up, or not really teamed up. She fought with Becky. So I wholeheartedly expect something to happen because there's a triple threat match at Survivor Series. And that Survivor Series match is going to be Shayna Baszler, Becky Lynch, and who else is in that match? Charlotte, I believe. I may be wrong. I gotta Google it. Google is your friend. But there's gonna be a triple threat match, and Shayna Baszler from NXT, and I think it's Bayley. It's Bayley, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Shayna Baszler are all gonna be in that match. And that's 2 of the 4 horsewomen, and that's 3 of the 4 MMA horsewomen, because you know those other 2 girls are going to be getting involved in that match. You know that. So, and Charlotte Flair's on Team Raw. So, you know, you never know. You never know. But that's just a prediction on my end. I do think that Ronda Rousey, there's a good chance that she comes back for Survivor Series. There is a very good chance. If not Survivor Series, maybe Royal Rumble, because she debuted at the Royal Rumble. Maybe. But that's just me putting my booking hat on. Another match that may actually steal the show is AJ Styles, Roderick Strong, and Shinsuke Nakamura. I think that match is going to be fire. Wholeheartedly think it's fire. That may be a show stealer. You never know. But let me go to commercial real quick. Okay, we'll be back. Ooh, this beat is fire. To hear more of it, go to thatfeeling.bandcamp.com and subscribe for as low as $3 a month to get exclusive content from all of your That Feeling artists as soon as they drop it. Remember, thatfeeling.bandcamp.com for all of your music needs. You will get first dibs to exclusive content. Remember, thatfeeling.bandcamp.com. Gotta say it 3 times so it sticks to memory. All right, we are back from commercial, and like I was saying, I do think that the Shinsuke, Roderick Strong, and Nakamura match is going to be awesome. I wholeheartedly expect that to be awesome. They owe us one because Shinsuke versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania was disappointing. Very disappointing. And if you guys don't know the history between AJ Styles and Shinsuke, one of the best matches ever. Not just in a year or in a company's history, ever, point blank period, was a Wrestle Kingdom match in New Japan. Again, it was AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. One of the best matches ever. They owe us that. They at least owe us that. I need to see it. I need to see it. We need this match. Make it happen. Powers that be. Please. So, that dynamic, plus Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong is a very good wrestler. Very good. He's very underrated. He's one of the Undisputed Era members in NXT. And I think that before he came to WWE, he was awesome, but I think he's been on point almost every time I've seen him. Very, very, very underrated wrestler. I think that guy can carry a company. He's like the new age Dean Malenko. Very technical. He does have a little charisma with him. But we'll see. I think that'll be my pick for match of the night. I think so. So Survivor Series, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Let me know your picks. Let me know your picks in the comments. Okay? But, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching it. I really will be watching it. So, out of all that, so we've talked about AEW. We talked about WWE. Now, I want to put you guys on to something that you may not know about, something that you do know about, if you are a wrestling fan. If you grew up a wrestling fan, and this is for all of my older people, if you grew up a wrestling fan like myself in the 80s, or even if you grew up watching wrestling in the 70s, there is a new show that I urge you to go watch. It is called NWA Power, and it's POWERR. I think there's an extra R in there too. But NWA Power. Yes. It is a YouTube show. It comes out on YouTube. It comes out and this is a throwback. This show is like the perfect love letter to 1980s wrestling. Like if you grew up watching wrestling like I did, it is in studio format. It comes on at 6:05 Eastern. Just like it did back in the days when it was on TBS or Turner Television. 6:05 p.m. every Tuesday, NWA Power. It's a studio wrestling show. It's a great, great show. They bill it like it's old school 80s-esque wrestling, but it's modern. All the people are modern. Nick Aldis is the champion. You have James Storm. You have Trevor Murdoch, who I haven't seen in God knows how long. Just a bunch of good wrestlers. Colt Cabana is in there. It's awesome. It is awesome. And I didn't think I'd like it. Honestly, I really didn't think I like it, but it reminds me of everything that I fell in love with wrestling. That show is how I fell in love with wrestling, because I used to watch a lot of NWA. Me and E. Smitty talked about this a while back. Shout out to E. Smitty and Real Plus Food podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, it's coming out the same day as Real Plus Food. So go check that out after you check this one, please, because he's actually got some good content on there today. Go check him out. But we were talking about our love for wrestling and who his favorite wrestlers are. And NWA Power, man, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, please. It is so awesome. It is so worthy of your time if you like wrestling. And if you grew up watching wrestling in the 80s, then this is definitely the show for you. It really is. I can't say enough good things about it. And they should be having their first pay-per-view soon. So, looking forward to it. Should be a really good show. But yeah, pay attention to it. YouTube. Go to YouTube, look up NWA Power. They have all the episodes. I think they're on like episode 8 right now. But yeah, go watch it. And then let me know how you feel about it. All right, you guys, this is going to be it for me today. And before I do roll out, that's it for the wrestling news. Before I do roll out, I do want to let you guys know that I am now the manager of All Dat Feelings podcast. So all the ones that have been dropping lately or have been coming from me. Not really necessarily me, the artist, or the guys putting in the work. I just upload them, really. But it's been such a pleasure helming this thing. So if you are listening to this and you are a fan of Wrestling With My Thoughts, please, please, please go check out the other guys' content. Wiz's Beast dropped a podcast a couple of weeks ago, or last week, and this guy is freaking working his ass off right now because he's doing podcasts, and he dropped 4 albums in the midst of 2 weeks. 4 albums in 2 weeks. And his last podcast, Fuck You On Me, is the name of his podcast, or FUIM. Go down a little bit in the podcast list. Go look him up. Play that episode. He had a son on there, and they had a wonderful conversation about his love for lo-fi, and I didn't even know what the fuck that was. I really didn't. But I learned so much from listening to that podcast. So, things of that nature. DJ 110 just dropped the podcast. Go check him out. And I am actively recruiting. I have a guy in mind that I need to bring over to that feeling. I'll let you guys meet him if I can get him over here. If you are on my friends list, then you've heard us do a couple of podcasts together. So trying to get him over to that feeling podcast so we can have ourselves a good time. He's one of 3 that I need to get over here. I'm looking at 3 people. So trying to get them guys over here so they can join in on the fun. But yeah, man, stay tuned because there's a lot of good quality content coming. And we only look to give you what we think is that feeling. So we're trying to give you that feeling. All right, you guys, that is it for me today. This is your boy, Bred Like a King. Made us Kelvin Cayley. This is the Wrestling With My Thoughts podcast brought to you by that feeling. You guys have love, make sex. I'll see you guys again next week, and I am out.